Welcome everyone to Lunchbox TV's Creepin It Real, where we watch the scary movies so that you don't have to. And I'm a little on the fence on this one, whether or not you should watch this movie, but it is Malignant, James Wan's Malignant. We all know James Wan. He directed the Saw movies, brought them to prominence in the 2000s. And then, if that wasn't enough, he directed the Conjuring movies. And as if that wasn't enough, he directed Aquaman, which made over $1 billion. So he is Warner Brothers' golden child, and they threw a ton of money at him to make this movie called Malignant. It seemed to be a return to roots, a horror production, and that's what we'll be discussing. And I am Alex, and I am joined by Lou.
What's up?
And Michelle.
Hello.
And let's get to it. Let's talk initial thoughts. No spoilers just yet. Tell me, give it to me. What did you think?
I can go first. I loved it. It was ridiculous. It was insane. It was. By the way, if any of you have watched the trailer, and then the movie, you'll figure out that the trailer kind of just misleads you into something that when you watch the trailer, you think that it's typical James Wan, okay, that kind of thing. And then you watch the movie and it's bonkers. And I loved its ridiculousness. And yeah, what do you guys think?
I disagree. I hate it. I hate it so much. I was so upset and disappointed by this movie. It felt like two different movies. And it felt like the whole reason it got made is somebody had an idea for a cool visual, which I won't spoil what it is, but there's one specific moment that I'm like, this entire movie was made so this stupid thing happened because this one thing looked sick. And then they had to build this really weird world to make that thing make sense. And I freaking hated it. It felt like two different movies. The trailer doesn't do it justice. But also the movie doesn't do itself justice. It's all crap in my mind. I'm really upset about the fact that it existed in the way it did, because I feel like it could have been two very different acceptable movies, but it was just one garbage movie. Sorry,
just
Lou.
kind of reiterate a point. It was a bad movie, but I loved it because it was so ridiculous. There you go.
All right, I would say that this is perhaps possibly the best made shitty movie ever, because this has trauma movie written all over it, like Basket Case, like Toxic Crusader, just really nasty horror stuff with a stupid goofy premise, all wrapped in this incredible production, because you can't say James Wan doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing, and he does it so well. And it seems like he had a lot of money to make this movie. So did I like this movie? Yes, but I really want to know if this was like James Wan's intention to make it purposefully bad movie, or is it just completely in his own head and making it, it's great, it makes all the sense in the world. Now, with that said, okay, we're getting into spoiler territory right now. Let's start with the movie intro, which just so happens to take place in a mental institution. Crazy stuff is happening. Melodramatic actors to the max, delivering these ridiculous lines as like straight face as they can, no humor about it, like really bad lines delivered really crudely. This, I'll start right now by telling you that I thought this was like a fake out. I thought this was this movie opening. I thought it was oh, James Wan, this is a movie within a movie, and then we're gonna get to the director and stuff behind this shitty movie. And we'll get to the real thing, with ghosts or whatever it is. but no, like the credits played, the music played, the title came up, and no, it was what it was. This was the intro to the movie. I felt it was unnecessary. What did you guys think of just the opening portion?
Cheesiest of the cheese. This was like, I guess, first few minutes into the movie, I was expecting again like the typical James Wan toned movie, really serious horror. And then like the first few words that came out of everybody's mouths, I'm like, are they like serious about this? And especially when they're like, let's cut
out the
cancer.
cancer.
Let's cut out this cancer. And I'm like, all right. So I know what to expect. This is not going to be a serious movie. Or I guess, yes, Alex was right where they just threw James Wan a ton of money. And then I'm pretty sure he just got it into his head. But yeah, this intro was ridiculous. And I'm like, okay, let me just see where this crazy train is going. And yeah, what do you think, Michelle?
This movie just, it hurts me because it felt like it didn't know what kind of movie it wanted to be, where you'd have like these silly lines, this kind of weird situation happening, but then everyone's like going so hard, they're acting so much, they're like, this is serious, let's cut out the cancer. I'm like, what are we doing? Because either like you don't realize how bad this is and you're trying really hard, or you do realize how bad it is, but then you're still trying really hard. Whereas if you were trying less hard, it would come off as campy and fun and silly, and I'm on board. But because it's just like towing the line of like, is this funny? Is this not? How should I feel? It starts the movie just kind of confusing for me, and then it never like comes back from that for me personally. I just, the cold, like this type of cold open where they like open with this and then they're like, just kidding, here's our main protagonist. I'm tired of that. I don't want this big reveal of, oh, the thing at the beginning is now relevant. Just start the movie when the movie starts. Like that's what I'd like, because this didn't do anything for me, because it wasn't powerful enough of a cold open to be like, ooh, I want to know what's going on. I'm like, nah, I'm over it. I'm bored of that. Just if the movie started after this scene, it would have been better for me personally.
I already gave my thoughts, I guess, but it's funny that you mentioned that, because like, well, while you're saying that, they could have easily just cut that part out, the movie would have been stronger for it. But that's why I feel like I hope I'm not giving James Wan the benefit of the doubt, but I think it's all done intentionally. Like he set out to make a B movie, and he did it. Because look, I'll be honest with you, I remember the plot from The Conjuring, but like Insidious, The Conjuring 2, 3, because I watched it recently, but like all these ghosts and like horror house movies and shows, I don't remember the plot at all. Mm-hmm. But I'm gonna be remembering this movie, Malignant,
for sure.
I like for the rest of my life, I'll remember that Malignant. Oh yeah, backwards person. Yes, that's right. The Voldemort thing.
Yeah, yes. Quirrell Voldemort.
Yes, cool. Yeah. So yeah, let's talk premise then, since I kind of mentioned it briefly. The main character, whose name is Madison, as it turns out, okay, so movie opens, abusive husband, Madison is pregnant, like even more over the top, as if like the opening wasn't over the top. This was even worse. Like, you're gonna kill another one of my babies, huh? I'm just trying to relax and watch the game, man, you know? And she just like slams her head into the wall. Go figure, it's just smushed Gabriel's face into the wall. Little did she know. So it looked like a demonic shadow creature in the house was there, and like has like super strength, and it kills the husband because he's a dick, and throws around Madison. What it is when she was a young girl, she had a parasitic twin.
Gotta love those.
Yeah, attached to her back with a little T-Rex on. And it was really evil. It was called Gabriel. Nice biblical name. And in the intro where they showed the scientists there, they gave it electroshock therapy, which I suppose gave it some powers that has to do with electricity. And they ended up cutting out the cancer. Choppity chop chop chop. So problem was solved for a while, but Gabriel stayed in the little girl's head for years until, like, I guess she suppressed them after a while. But then that knock on the head woke up Gabriel, and so yes, we have a movie monster who is. So the cranium in the back splits open, and the brainy face has an eye, and that's Gabriel. And Gabriel walks around backwards, killing people, stabbing all, weird. Yeah. And like visually, it's like, holy shit, this person's going backwards. Like, I don't know who else picked up on that, on the backwards. But yeah,
oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
They don't hide it.
Yeah, they don't hide it. It's like yeah, just like running away from the detective. Anyways, that's the premise. Yeah, let's talk about that for a movie idea. What did you think?
Okay, let me say this. The thing that this whole movie was based on is the visual idea of somebody being backwards. Because visually, that's messed up. I had a reaction. I was like, I hate that. That's so weird. Like, it made me uncomfortable. Particularly, I'm going to spoil like a scene. The scene where they're like, Gabriel's on top of the dude in bed and stabbing him backwards on top of him. Yeah. That visually was sick. Like, that scene was my favorite scene. Like, it looked gross and everything about it was very weird, and it just felt very uncomfortable. And I hated it in such a good, like, horror way. I'm like, this works for me. And I think that was what they had. They had this idea of they want this weird backwards human. How do we make it happen in this movie? And just like the little twinny out the brain, come on. We've seen it before. Voldemort's much cooler. Like, this is just stupid. And I'm sorry, whoever's on the costume designs, like, her wig was the shittiest thing I've ever seen. Like, I own better ones from the dollar store. Like, it was like a little disheveled the whole time. I'm like, but the character doesn't wear a wig. So it's just, you did a bad job of trying to hide the fact that there's something in her head. So it's just this whole time I'm slightly off put by her just like a little bit weird hair. And I couldn't handle it. I knew the whole time it was in her stupid head because in my mind, I thought her character was wearing a wig because it looked like a wig. So I was like, she's going to whip the wig off and we're going to get a reveal of, like, in Harry Potter, Quirrell takes his little turban off and then bam, Voldemort. Like, I was expecting that, but just like rip her wig off. There's the Voldemort face. So I don't, like, the premise is so entertaining and the rest of the movie that's around it just doesn't work. Like, visually sick, story-wise, I think they could have done a better job of, I don't know, just the little face, it ruined it. It was like when the Insidious monster comes up and it looks like Goat Darth Maul. Once I saw that face, I was like, this is hilarious. This movie is ridiculous. So
yeah, you know what? That premise was actually not that bad, but it just came off as like campy and B movie level, like the face and backward. There was nothing more ridiculous than when we finally figured out, when we finally showed Gabriel taking over, and you see what's her name, Madison's face behind, and he was just killing people instead of just getting this, because it was like, to think of it, it was some cool killing scenes, but then just seeing Madison's face just back there, and then he's just going backwards, kind of, while Gabriel is going forward. It was funny. I was laughing instead of just be like, oh, this is kind of cool, but I was laughing throughout most of those scenes. But yeah, I don't know, like, maybe it's just the execution, or no, it's just, I don't know, it's just really ridiculous that this was what they came up with, or they could have done something to kind of get it to a certain tone. But hey, what am I? I'm not James Wan.
I mean, like I said, I'm like, we're never forgetting the premise of this movie. That's how effective it was. That's how goofy and schlocky it is. Make no mistake. But holy damn, it's a person killing people backwards. Like Michelle said, like the stabbing in the bed. It did look like someone leaning over backwards and just like with a weird stabbing motion. Yeah, it's yeah, like some scenes it worked, some scenes yeah, they were a little weird. Like as for the premise with Gabriel having like sort of like super strength, why did Gabriel struggle so much with the detective that caught him, right? Like that was a little
the initial first chase where he was chasing him, and
the longest chase scene I've ever seen ever.
But like I guess it was necessary to just because like that's your big clue. That's like, yeah, this person's moving backwards. So yeah, that ought to let you know what's happening. But it does seem kind of weird in retrospect when Gabriel's just taking on the entire precinct after single-handedly whipping chairs and stuff, which is hilarious. Absolutely hilarious. Okay, so let's talk scares. Take it away. Where were the scares effective? Did they work? The gore, like I'd say this movie had, it did have gore, and lots of it, buckets of gore. As for jump scares, yelly, shouty sounds that I hate so much,
it was there.
or like it was there, but like it wasn't like suddenly like, oh, right? Like I'll give you an example. The idiot husband in the beginning, when he turns and Gabriel's standing right next to him, they leave a pause of silence so that like the uneasiness, you feel it as a viewer, like, oh my God, it's there. And then you hear the noise, the loud noise, which isn't abrupt, isn't stupid.
It prepared you.
Well deserved. Yeah, exactly. It prepared you. So it was really effective and nice. That was if we have favorite scares, possibly that was like my favorite because just comparing it to like other movies that just yell at you, like you're on a roller coaster, just annoying. But you guys tell me your thoughts.
For the scares, I think I count like the jump scares, gore, or some body horror, and for the most part, it did okay for the scares for me. It didn't work at all. I did really like the jump scare at the beginning with the husband. They also tried the I don't know what type of scare it is, where you just have something in the background, like the dark object to make you think. That was really cool.
Scare.
That was before we found out who Gabriel was. So you're just kind of like, wonder what that is. Yeah, those were the scares were, I guess, okay. I kind of just looked at this movie as a comedy, to be honest, more than a horror. So yeah, there were those scares, but they did not scare me.
The scare that actually caught me, like this movie in general, I didn't find scary. I thought it was tense. Like I thought they built up the tension quite well, but then the moment in my brain it clicked what was going on, all the tension was just gone at that point, because I'm not scared for her because she is now the villain. Like she's not in danger, so it doesn't matter to me anymore because I don't care about anybody. But the mom character falling through the attic, that I was so shocked. That actually got me.
That was hilarious.
Scared.
That was one of my favorite scenes.
Oh my God. Like it was shocking. It wasn't scary, but it like surprised me a lot. I did not expect that at all, even though I knew what was going on. Like I knew who Gabriel was, I know who Madison was in relation. Like I understood that whole thing. I just wasn't expecting her to fall out of the ceiling. So that just really that got me, and that was a memorable kind of moment. But scare wise, not really. For like what I said when I first, like, without spoiling things, my initial thoughts of it being two different movies, there's at the first half of this movie is what could have been a good horror movie. I thought it was atmospheric, it was dark, it was tense. It wasn't like the scariest thing I've ever seen, but I thought it was doing a really good job with all of those elements. And then the second half of the movie is this like really weird action flick, which could also have been good had the first half of the movie not gone the way it did. Because I would have been here for this like kind of really comedic action horror mashup. if the first half of the movie didn't try so hard to be tense, where you're watching her watch the kills and it's supposed to be like really intense. Like, I wish it had been silly from the get-go, because the third act is so silly that it, to me, the silly came too late, where I already had been watching it thinking it was supposed to be a horror movie, so I was disappointed. But if I'd watched it knowing it was supposed to be this campy, silly thing, I would have watched it differently, and I think I would have enjoyed it more. It's like trying to watch Shaun of the Dead as a zombie movie. Like, you don't do that. That's not what you're watching that movie for. And I feel like if you go into Malignant watching for like a haunted house horror movie, which is what the first third is, you're gonna have a bad time. So I'm disappointed in that sense. So for me, I wanted to be scared. I thought it was a horror movie. Then the third act happened, and I'm like, LOL, look at this like thing that looks like it's ripped out of a comic book fighting. Like, these action scenes were very like superhero action scenes, which at that point in the movie I hated and didn't work for me because it's not scary. I'm cheering for the villain because I think it's hilarious. Yeah.
I think you both touch on something like pretty important. It's that like again, a tonal imbalance where it's like in the first half of the movie, it's a haunted house, because like they have these establishing shots of this house with the fog, and like it's so over the top that like they're really pushing this idea that there's something in this house that's doing all of this. But then it turns into a slasher film. Like right off the bat, none of it's scary. Like this movie isn't scary. It's by the time you realize what's going on, it's very campy. It's you know, and even the opening, like it's a love letter to like Sam Raimi with those the close-up shots and like the erratic camera movements. So so it's firmly a horror movie, but it's not a scary horror movie. That's why it's like typical of like those the trauma B movies. It's really whatever. Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, etc. All right, let's talk production. James Wan directed this movie. So tell me, like, the script, did it vibe?
And he wrote it.
Yeah, and he wrote it with his wife, who she played one of the characters.
Ooh, did she?
Yeah, one of the forensic officers, the nerdy girl.
Oh, I love that. Was my favorite character.
Yeah, that's James Wan's wife. Yeah, it was
good
really
for
cool.
her.
Yeah, she got a paycheck for that one. So yeah, and acting. Yeah, so script, filmmaking, and acting. How do you guys think? Did it clash? Like, how'd it go?
You know what?
Thumbs down.
Production wise, it was, you could tell that money was thrown into this movie. There was some like amazing shots where I think Madison was being chased in the house, and you had the camera, the top view, and just following her. And then a bunch of like, I guess, you're right that there was some money thrown into this, because a lot of those shots didn't need to be. There was like one in particular in the couch where the camera was just going around the couch, and I'm like, you didn't really need that. So I think production wise actually kind of let this movie down, because it looked really good, but then like the tone of the movie sort of betrays it a little bit, and making it kind of just a wonky kind of film. So even though the production was really good, it failed to kind of live up to, or should have just stepped down the production for this movie.
I agree. I mean, as far as like the script and the acting goes, that was bad. It was bad. And not necessarily that the actors were bad. I think they were just trying really, really hard in a movie that didn't require that amount of effort. Particularly the relationship between the two sisters, like Madison and her sister. Every single scene was unbelievably awkward. Like the scene where Madison's like, "I'm adopted," and then her sister's like, "Oh, like,
overacted.
Oh, calm down." And like, it's not campy overacting because they didn't go that far. It's like you're really all trying for an Oscar with this movie, and you need to simmer down. That didn't work at all for me. Visually stunning. The thing that I really like for some reason, this is my new thing that I'm really into. When I watch a movie, I need to know how they did the effects. And it was all practical for Gabriel. It was a contortionist doing everything. And I actually love that. And I think that's why
Wow.
I was sold on it. I was like, this looks weird. Like, this really looks weird.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly why, like, they put the effort into doing that. And a lot of the shots with Gabriel moving backwards were filmed in a way that just made it really weird to watch. Like, it had this kind of like, I don't know, it just felt weird. And I thought that was awesome. Like, that part was so good.
It made you
and
uneasy.
the rest of yeah. And then, like, my weird complaint, and this is a really weird complaint, but I feel like they were a little heavy-handed with the fact that they kept playing Where's My Mind by the Pixies, which is the song from Fight Club. And I'm like, can you stop? Because we get it. Like, at this point, we get it. Same person, two minds. Where is my mind? It's in the back of my head. It's Gabriel. I understand the freaking premise. But every time they were like, ooh, this is like a transition moment. They're like playing like a weird version of that song. And it took me out of everything. I was like, can you please stop? Your audience isn't that stupid. We understand what's happening. You don't need to be like putting that song in there. I hate it. So, and I love the song. I just hate its use in this movie. It was so annoying.
I hated that version of the song. It's like, oh, stop. I get it, but enough's enough. And it's funny that song, it's like, it reminds me of like early 2000s, kind of like where industrial went from the 90s and evolved into the 2000s, and where it was, that's like what that song sounds like. Kind of like it would belong in a Saw movie, you know, go figure.
Yeah.
So I'd say, like, James Wan, amazing directing. The choreography at the end, holy crap! It looked amazing. Like, seeing the contortionist do this thing, like, I guess I'm not surprised, because that's really the only way you could have done it. So that works. But yeah, I have a feeling that the actors were so cheesy because the script was so cheesy and bad, and it's like you sort of have to overperform with the material that you're given, and I'm not making excuses, but I'm just saying, like someone told them to play it straight, right? Like, it could have been a lot more memorable if you know, it was a lot cheesier or something. But yeah. Now, that said, I'm trying to think if there's anything else to say about this damn movie, but I guess we can move on to final thoughts of the movie. It's going to be very divisive. It's one of those either love it or hate it, but let's see. What do you guys give it? Don't forget to score it out of 5.
So yeah, like Alex said it earlier, this is a great bad movie, and I'm never gonna think of anything else other than what he said about this movie. I'm not gonna take it seriously. Great production value that just got messed up with that kind of wonky script. To be honest, it feels like James Wan was preparing to do Aquaman 2, and then all of a sudden, oh shit, we gotta do Malignant. All right, guys, let's do Malignant now before I have to be busy for Aquaman. That's what it feels like. And but you know what? It was just fun because of the total ridiculousness of everything. So I'm gonna give this a 3 out of 5.
I will not get over how tonally confused this movie is. I love a campy movie. Like, I'm here for it. And this movie didn't go balls to the wall the way I wanted it to, if that's what it was trying to be. It just felt like it was towing the line between too many different types of movies for me, and it failed in all regards. So I give it a 2. The only reason I don't give it a 1 is because, like, the visual of Gabriel is cool, and I really like it. If you had just given me a short film of just that, I would have been really happy. Like, that would have been cool for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3.5. I said it before. Like, I really hope that James Wan did this on purpose. Like a really bad B movie. But like in the guise of like, oh, it's gonna be a James Wan movie, but then he subverts expectations. But when you do that, you piss off a lot of people because they're expecting, you know, a ghost story, the exorcism or what have you. So so a lot of pissed off people, and I have a feeling that's possibly why Michelle is upset. Expectations, I think. Yeah. So
that trailer looked like it was gonna be a typical James Wan movie.
Just if I could go back and not watch the trailer, I would have had a better time for sure.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, like any trailer for it, so I'm just like, oh, Malignant, James Wan, and a really cool movie poster with the blood dagger about to enter. Yeah. So I whatever. I was sold on it, 3.5, and so we're all over the place here. And with that, thank you for watching. If you agree or disagree, let us know in the comment section below. Follow us on our socials. Don't forget to subscribe, like this video, favorite it. What the hell? Put it in your favorite category because we deserve it. I'm Alex. I've been joined by Lou and Michelle, and we will see you on the next one. Bye.
Later.
Bye.